Shinzo Abe. Shinzo Abe, or Abe Shinzo, was born 21st September 1954. He is a Japanese politician who has served as Prime Minister of Japan and the President of the Liberal Democratic Party since 2012 and previously from 2006 to 2007. He also served as the Chief Cabinet Secretary from 2005 to 2006. He is the longest serving Prime Minister in Japanese history. First elected to the House of Representatives in the 1993 election, he rose to appointed Chief Cabinet Secretary by Junichiro Koizumi in September 2005, before going on to replacing Koizumi as LDP President in September 2006. He was subsequently confirmed as Prime Minister of Japan by a special session of the National Diet, becoming age 52, Japan's youngest post-war Prime Minister and the first to have been born after World War II. Abe resigned as Prime Minister after 1 year in office, citing health reasons shortly after his party lost that year's House of Councillors election. He was replaced by Yasuo Fukuda, the first in a series of 5 Prime Ministers who each failed to retain office for more than 16 months. After recovering from his illness, Abe staged an unexpected political comeback, defeating former Defense Minister Shigeru Ishiba in a vote to become LDP President for the second time in September 2012. Following the LDP's landslide victory in the general election that December, he became the first former Prime Minister to return to the office since Shigeru Yoshida in 1948. He was re-elected in similar landslides in the 2014 and 17 elections. Abe is a conservative whom political commentators have widely described as a right-wing nationalist. He is a member of the Nippon Kaigi and holds revisionist views on Japanese history, including denying the role of government coercion in the recruitment of comfort women during World War II. We will discuss all these topics soon, like what is right-wing nationalism, what is Nippon Kaigi, what is revisionist views, and what is comfort women during World War II, a position which has created tension with neighboring South Korea. He is considered a hardliner with respect to North Korea and advocates revising Article 9 of the Pacifist Constitution to permit Japan to maintain military forces. Abe is known internationally for his government's economic policies, nicknamed Abenomics, which pursue monetary easing, fiscal stimulus, and structural reforms. On 28 August 2020, Abe announced his pending resignation as Prime Minister, citing a resurgence of his ulcerative colitis. He has indicated that he will remain in office until the LDP elects his successor. So, that is him in short. Now, coming to details. Early life and education. Shinzo Abe was born in Tokyo to a prominent political family with significant economic influence throughout pre-war, wartime, and post-war Japan. His grandfather, Nobusuke Kishi, was de facto economic king of occupied China, Korea, Manchukuo, a Japanese puppet state in northern China. His family is originally from Yamaguchi Prefecture, and Abe's residence is Nagato, Yamaguchi, where his grandfather was born. His grandfather Kan Abe and his father Shintaro Abe first worked in a mall. His great-great-grandfather, the Viscount Yoshimasa Oshima, served as general in the Imperial Japanese Army. During the Pacific War, his father Shintaro volunteered to be a kamikaze pilot, but the war ended before he completed training. Kamikaze pilots are those who commit suicide by diving their planes right into the ships of the enemy. Abe's mother, Yoko Kishi, is the daughter of Nobusuke Kishi, who was the Prime Minister of Japan from 1957 to 1960. At the end of the war, Kishi was to be tried as a war criminal, but the policy of the Supreme Commander for the Allied powers, which controlled Japan after the war, eventually changed and became more anti-communist, and Kishi was released from Sugamo prison. He later established the Japan Democratic Party. In his book Utsuku Kushi Kunie, Towards a Beautiful Country, Abe wrote, "Some people used to point to my grandfather as a Class A war criminal suspect, and I felt strong repulsion. Because of that experience, I may have become emotionally attached to a conservatism on the contrary." In 1955, Shigeru Yoshida's Liberal Party and Kishi's Democratic Party merged as an anti-leftist coalition and was re-established as the LDP. Abe attended Siki Elementary School, Siki Junior High School, and Siki Senior High School. He studied public administration and graduated with a bachelor's degree in political science from Seiki University in 1977. He later moved to the United States and studied public policy at the University of Southern California's School of Public Policy for 3 semesters. In April 1979, Abe began working for Kobe Steel. He left the company in 1982 and pursued a number of government positions, including executive assistant to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, private secretary to the chairperson of the LDP General Council, and private secretary to the LDP Secretary General. So this is a picture where the Chief Cabinet Secretary meets with the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Robert Zillick, and this is his elections. Abe was elected to the 1st District of Yamaguchi's prefecture in 1993 after his father's death in 1991, winning his most votes of the 4 representatives elected in the SNTV multi-members district. In 1999, he became director of the Social Affairs Division. He was Deputy Chief Cabinet Secretary in the Yoshiro Mori and Junichiro Koizumi cabinets from 2000 to 2003, after which he was appointed Secretary General of the Liberal Democratic Party. Abe is a member of the Mori faction. This faction is headed by former Prime Minister Yoshiro Mori. Junichiro Koizumi was a member of the Mori faction but left it as the custom when accepting a high party post. From 1986 to 91, Abe's father Shintaro headed the same faction. The Suiwa Shisaku Kenyu Kai has 60 members in the House of Representatives and 26 in the House of Councillors. In 2000, Abe's home and the office of his supporters in Shimonoseki in Yamaguchi Prefecture were attacked with Molotov cocktails on numerous occasions. The perpetrators were several Yakuza members belonging to Kudokai, a Kitakyushu-based designated Borokyu-Kudan syndicate. The reason for the attacks was believed to be the Abe's local aide refused to give cash to the Shimonoseki real estate broker in return for supporting a Shimonoseki mayoral candidate in 1999. Abe was chief negotiator for the Japanese government on behalf of the families for Japanese abductees taken to North Korea. As a part of the effort, he accompanied Koizumi to meet Kim Jong-il. In 2002, he gained national popularity when he demanded that Japanese abductees visiting Japan remain in defiance of North Korea. He was the leader of a project team within the LDP that conducted a survey on excessive sexual education and gender-free education. Among the items to which his team raised objections were anatomical dolls and other curricular materials not taking into consideration the age of children, school policies banning traditional boys and girls festivals, and mixed-gender physical education. The team sought to provide a contrast to the Democratic Party of Japan, which, if alleged, supported such policies. On 23 April 2006, Abe was elected as president of the Rural Liberal Democratic Party. His chief competitors for the position were Sadakazu Tanigaki and Taro Aso. Yasuo Fukuda was a leading early contender but ultimately chose not to run. Former Prime Minister Yoshiro Mori, to whose faction both Abe and Fukuda belong, stated that the faction strongly leaned towards Abe. Next will be in the next few videos.